All right, we're going to return. First, we're going to start with the announcement from closed session. There's no reportable action. So thank you for joining us this morning in open session. We're going to start, of course, with the opening ceremony, Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. Mr. Burns, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today?
Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the invocation. Almighty God, we pray this day for your ever-enduring guidance. We ask you to cloak us in wisdom and fortitude that we may dispense our knowledge and facts intelligently among all humanity of whom we serve. Amen.
Amen.
So to begin, I'm looking for agenda approval, addition, and/or deletion.
So moved.
Albaugh moves.
Second.
Gallagher seconds. All in favor? Aye.
I would like to adjourn the meeting in memory of Alan Dowdy today.
Thank you, Chris. That moves us to public comment. I'll start with the cards. We have Barbara Longo. Once again.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I want to give you an update on our county status of the COVID situation and trying to open up this county. And want to let you know on Friday you approved supporting our health officers attestation. And we did get a letter of support from Banner, Lassen Medical Center. And so those were the requirements that the state asked for. They also, before we could submit it, they asked that we have a technical assistance call. So we were able to get a call for Saturday morning, which got bumped up to Saturday afternoon. And we had another really great call. They liked our plan. I went through every bit of the form, every step, the things that we were doing, and how we responded, which you saw. They wanted a few little changes, like, add a website here, add a link there. They wanted us to add the addresses of our testing sites, so we put in more detail. Cynthia, the public health director, was also on the call with me, so she took copious notes. And I updated the document, sent it off to Cynthia. She ran it past Dr. Corver Monday morning, since we added some things. I wanted to make sure that he wasn't surprised by anything. He was totally in support of it again, and said that we're doing a great job in Lassen County, let's open up. So on the call they said you submit the plan, and then they will look at it, and within 24, 48 hours they'll look to certify it, whatever that means. Well, I was on a call last night, so that all felt like, okay, they're going to certify it. The health officer is saying this is what we can do and what we need to do in Lassen County. Board of Supervisors supports it. Our hospital system supports it. What more could they want? So on last night, we had a call with the other public health directors and health officers and health directors, and several of us, I think there was 10 of us, had these calls with the state, and it seems like the information that they reported back was a little different. Everybody was hearing a little different thing, which doesn't. I wish it surprised. It was just a surprise. I wish it didn't surprise me, but wasn't surprised anyhow. So it sounds like now what they're going to do is review our plan. They're going to elevate it and have other people look at it, and then they're going to certify it. So to me, it looks like they're reviewing and going to approve our plan, which is what they said they weren't going to do. Like they said they weren't going to have us put a lot of detail and just check a box yes or no. So again, we're doing dutifully what we're being asked to do, so we don't get the whip. Because if you don't, they threaten you with taking your funding away, they threaten with taking your business license away if you are a licensed entity, And so I continue to do and direct staff that work for me to do what we're being asked to do, and we're doing it. And they keep saying we're doing very well. They had very little comment on our plan other than, add a few more details. So at the point right now, we're waiting for them to certify our plan. What I was told last night is that it's going to be posted on the website. Knowing our governor and what I'm hearing, he's going to have another noon little, chat with us publicly. And he's going to probably, after those little, press conferences, then usually things happen. So there are about 10 counties that have submitted plans as of last night, a couple more submitting them today. We are in that point where we are now in stage 2. So what does that mean? That means curbside delivery, like we can really do that here. We've already been doing that, but it opens it up to other businesses to be able to do curbside pickup and delivery and things like that. If we get the variance, we'll be able to open up a lot more stores and have dine-in and things like that. So I just wanted to report back that that's where we are right now. Of course, as soon as I hear anything, it will be shared with you. It will be shared publicly as well on our Lassen Cares website. We're putting up guidance for the businesses. So when we do get the okay to open and they can do that, we'll be, that's kind of where we are today. And so I'm very open to looking forward to your questions.
Can we get a list of other counties that have submitted these plans so that the 5 of us could call their boards of supervisors? And I think if we all went in collectively and just said that enough's enough.
I can get you that list, and I know Plumas is submitting theirs today. I think they have a board meeting today, and they'll be submitting it this afternoon. I'll get that list for you, absolutely.
Are there any counties that have been approved?
0, not yet. I know there was word that Butte was approved, but they have not been approved yet. They just submitted the plans, and just like us. They submitted theirs on Friday. They received a call to schedule their technical assistant call, and the public health director said, "Oh, can we do it now?" And they said, "Sure." So they had their call, they made some modifications, and they submitted it, but it hasn't been approved.
Did they give you a time frame when they're going to start getting to these things?
They said 24. I was told 24 to 48 hours, and the Butte public health director was told that she'll get a link and a password, and then she can go to this link and password. And I wasn't told that, but I don't know. I was just told that we'll hear back from them. So I might get a password, I might get a link, I might get a call, I might get an email. But I'll certainly update you all as soon as I get that information.
What if you call them twice a day? 3 times a day?
Well, I have emailed for documentation purposes because they don't answer their phone. I don't know if they're, even when I call their cell phones, they're not answering right now. I've left messages. But I will certainly call again. Absolutely.
And this is all in order to get to stage 2?
Stage 2 modified. So that would allow dine-in with modifications, meaning, maybe pulling a few tables out or making sure there's, 6 feet apart. It allows, let's see, I have a list here, shopping malls, swap meets, car washes, pet grooming, tanning facilities, landscape gardening, office-based businesses to open, as well as dine-in restaurants and outdoor museums and open gallery spaces.
But the hair salons, the nail salons, the bar, and
They are
hospitality.
stage 3, and once we open up 2, and if our numbers can stay pretty reasonable, well, again, there's still 0 today, but if we can stay 0 or keep it, within I don't know why we don't have a positive case, but if we do, it still seems reasonable that we can manage that. And we'll be pushing for 3. Butte is pushing for 3 already, even though they haven't been certified for 2. And I think we'll be right there too. As soon as we receive certification, we're going to move forward with 3.
What about the golf course?
The golf course, it's interesting. I've seen documents and nothing really official, but they're saying, oh, that allows you to social distancing. And so they've been kind of silent on golf courses. I think that from what I'm reading, if they can keep their social distancing, they don't have the driving range open. Those are some of the things I'm seeing and I'm hearing about in some of the information that's coming out from the state, but the people that need to approve that don't have their stamp on it, which is the health officer. She did modify her health order on May 7th, Thursday afternoon.
You might communicate that to the interim city administrator.
Okay.
Any other questions? Please.
So if this is approved, the stage 2, then to go to stage 3, what's our time frame, turnaround, roughly?
The state is saying, and they're very clear, that they will tell us when we can start talking about stage 3, and so we are going to tell them when we want to open up stage 3, and we'll get into that same battle that we are right now. We have to just put pressure on them. Okay, so I looked at the statistics today, just to what's posted on the CDPH website, and we had, it was probably updated Friday or maybe on the weekend, but almost 2,800 deaths in the state of 40 million. I just keep looking at that number and just wondering, how many people are dying from stress and anxiety and heart attacks and things like that. I don't know. But for 2,800 people, it's 2,773, I think, is what is posted on the website right now. I am puzzled.
So can we start pushing for stage 3 or phase 3 right now?
Absolutely, and so that's where we are. We submitted our stage 2 request for modified stage 2, and then right now I'm going to turn it around, and that's the next step, is to say, if we can, again, I don't know how we don't have any confirmed cases yet. At some point, that's got to mean something.
I think we have an idea what that means.
It's kind of like, how long are we gonna wait again? I ask that question every time we come up here.
Well, aren't you going to save that for G13 also?
Well, what I'm going to just say is I am following, I'm going to follow what I need to do and what the government is telling me to do, so I don't risk the funding, and then you can tell me what you want me to do.
I appreciate that fact, and I think that the public needs to realize that, what the strategy is here is that we don't want to be slapped, because it's pretty obvious we have a governor that's kind of retaliatory within the headlines that we're seeing today and over the past couple of days when people have defied his orders. But at some point in time, it's like civil disobedience is going to have to take over, because people are hurt.
They are. And at Shasta County, they submitted their plan, and because the rodeo opened, they're saying, hey, we're not even we may not consider your plan. That's pretty, hard hitting.
Like I say, we can bring this up on G11 if we want.
I just wanted to give you an update as to where we were, because on Friday I told you that we were going to submit the plan, and it is submitted, and it is being considered at this time. Thank you.
Jump to 3.
You got it.
Thank you, Barbara.
Move forward.
Do I have any other public comment? All right, then we shall move on to the consent calendar. Oh, actually, why don't we do the unagendized report first, because I have a feeling that the consent calendar might be better. Not to skip around. Mr. Gallagher, would you like to begin the unagendized board report?
I think the only thing that I have is I've been on, 2 CSAC phone call meetings over the past week, and once again, they've been frustrating because the governor's staff have been telling us that this is not going to be a difficult process, that it'll be a form we have to fill out, check some boxes, and turn it in, and it'll be approved as long as we have a plan that meets the criteria. Well, obviously, that's not true. And we even had a couple of supervisors, especially Leonard Moody from Shasta County, who basically told their staff, if you don't get off your ass, that you're going to have anarchy pretty quickly, and he was the former police chief in Reading. And I think you saw some of that in Shasta County over the weekend, where people went to the rodeo and just violated the rule that they had in place there. So Leonard was basically correct. And I think the longer the state fools with any of these plans that are according to their list of criteria and meet it, I think they're going to have more and more problems if they don't approve them. So I don't know. It was funny. I was on the phone call yesterday again with the governor, or on the video that he has at noon. And he once again said, yeah, the majority of the counties are meeting our criteria and opening up. And it's like, no, that's not happening. So I don't know why he's given this message when you have a bunch of frustrated county board of supervisors throughout the state who haven't been approved. And I think he's going to, some of these are even Democrats that are arguing, we need to open up, let's go. And so it's a frustrating process, and I think CSAC is doing a good job in at least getting in front of the staff and keeping that going. So I'm going to make sure that I continue to get on those phone calls and encourage them. Well, that's what we're all trying to do. I think that's probably it.
Mr. Hammond?
I was on a teleconference call with the commander last week. Actually, it's a pretty good one. I did find out, we're still, the drones with the drone groups, we're still on track to have them come in June, hopefully. I was thankful to hear that. I was kind of worried whether that was going to go away or not. But he has been, his commander general told him not to get out ahead of the local governments. So he's holding back opening up the base more. He wants to. He's waiting for us to get our stuff together. So,
has he presented a COVID plan to the public health?
that I don't know. I know he supposedly has been talking to them. Yeah. So also yesterday's transportation meeting, I was pretty explicit with our consultant to put my packet together for my 395 effort. And I spoke with Gene Herman last night, the Washington County Commissioner, and I'm hoping to have that packet by the end of the week. And as soon as we get that, Reno's starting to open up, as you guys all know. They're starting to open their restaurants and their nail salons and everything. So that's the green light for me to go to Amazon and Prime and everybody to start the effort at 395 going again. I just need that packet, and I would appreciate my fellow transportation committee members to help me with that and to lean on our consultant.
Well, we have a new chair, so maybe he'll help us.
Can I back up on that just a little bit? Richard, we sent a letter last year, I think it was, to Brian regarding looking into legislation for the speed limit on 395. And I don't think we've ever heard a thing from him. Can we send another letter reminding them and maybe backing that one up with the one that we sent before to try to move that legislation forward as well?
I'll review what we said, perfectly said. I think it's still appropriate. I can't recall the exact response we got.
I can't hear you.
I don't remember ever.
It wasn't favorable.
Yeah, I think maybe it could have been, there's no place else like that in the state that's ever passed, so it's like.
I have heard the chief of the highway patrol state that they're not in favor of reasonable speed limit for trucks.
So, but you can talk to the local officers, they want to see that thing opened up at the same speed limit.
Aaron?
Thank you. On May the 6th, we had our Big Valley Advisory Council meeting, which is for the groundwater basin with Modoc County. We did that, invited the people to call in, do over call that Zoom or some other name. Anyway, It was a okay meeting, I guess. Our consultant, I think, is not working in the best interest for what I feel, for what Lassen and Modoc County needs. We're working, putting pressure on him, trying to get him to do things right. Anyway, it's just going to be a very long, painful, arduous process to get this done. Of course, we're under the time frame. By 2022, get this thing wrapped up. This year, next year, it's going to be tight to get it all in and get everything done. Jack, we had to sit through one meeting, this last one was the worst.
Well, that's what I was going to interject. Do we need to change the horses we're riding there with the consultant? Because
It would be nice, but I don't think we can because we don't have the time to do anything different.
well, the longer we start on this COVID thing, so let's just try it.
And this COVID thing, they're not going to give us an extension on it, we've already asked. So, anyway, it's just going to be a very painful process. We can do everything we can to keep any other reason than Lassen County out of this groundwater management stuff. It's just, it was painful, and it's going to continue to be painful. Hopefully we'll get this consultant guy up to speed and start doing better. I think there's a fair board meeting tonight. I don't know about being able to attend it, maybe once somebody else can. And I was going to talk about the corona thing, but I think we can do that under G11. I'll just leave it at that.
Mr. Hamlin?
We had transportation yesterday, and that's about it. All I'm talking about G11.
I would like to add something.
Sure.
I'd like to close the meeting in honor of Kathleen McShay. She worked for Solid Waste. She had been out at her own dump for quite some time. She's a loss.
Well, I don't have a lot, other than we did have the transportation and the bus also met. I want to thank the bus drivers that have been working diligently in an environment that, well, we have no cases here, but it's certainly something that they have to worry about. So I also have attempted to speak. We've talked about the legislatures. I keep trying to talk to the highest level official at the governor's office, and that's the secretary of CDCR. And I keep making the same point that my fellow supervisors have made, which is going forward with no cases here, it's time to move to expedited phase 2, and really the goalpost is phase 3. I think phase 3 finally gets us to religious services, which, we'll talk about those in a second too, but I wanted to mention those. So, in that case, I think we have enough time that we can get to the consent calendar, but we also have the time certains at 10 and 10:15. So my feeling is that we'll bring the consent calendar up and do those items, except most likely we will pull the 11. So any of my other supervisors, would you like to pull any other items from the consent calendar?
G5 and G8.
And G2.
In that case, I'm looking for a motion for the remainder of the consent calendar.
Make the motion.
Second.
Hammond moves, Gallagher seconds.
Did you pull 11?
Yeah, I pulled 11. Although I think I just repeated her for that one. All right, so then we have a motion. Do I have any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Shall we take we have a little bit of time. Shall we take a G2 then?
Gentlemen, good morning.
Thank you for joining us today.
I-
What can I help you with?
I was just curious on this. I know you gave a presentation here a while back saying, talking about this gal's expertise and how you're limited. Is this the same position you were talking about?
It is, sir, yes.
Okay. And is this going to be in your budget to be able to handle this?
We are,
Not only this year, but in years going forward?
So it works right now in our budget for this year. We are pleased to inform you that a couple of months ago, when we started giving rumblings about the effects of COVID on the local economy, that we started already pinching, if you will, and making cuts to our current budget. Excuse me, not cuts, but cost savings. We have implemented that going paperless, cut down on our paper costs. It's going to be a tremendous saving. That's something that we will carry over into the next fiscal year. We are still mapping out our budgetary needs for next fiscal year. I don't want to give any representations that may be false at this point in time, but I can tell you that for this year, it fits in our budget. We do have space for it. We are operating right now around 5% under where we should be for the year, so we will hopefully end the year with some savings, and I think that that's important to mention to you guys.
Okay. No question.
Anybody else?
There's no other question. I move approval of G2.
Second.
Alba moves, Hemphill seconds. Do I have any public comment? Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
Okay, then we will move to G5.
G5.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Grace Ford. I work for Advanced Eligibility.
I think my only question, I think I wanted a better explanation of exactly how much money that we're looking at here and how that will be spent in this area.
Yeah, it is $50,201.53. And I can give you the budget breakdown tonight.
And since this is one-time money, it's just you laid out things to be spent just in a one-time basis, and there's no carry.
Correct, from the program commissions that will be done.
Right.
So there's $25,000 to be spent on rental assistance and rapid housing, $20,000 to be spent on landlord incentives, that's like increased deposits, and $5,000 to be spent on outreach and coordination.
Okay. That's all I have.
Mr. Alba?
We have to have 100% of this spent by the year 2023.
Correct.
And is that going to be sufficient
Yes.
funds? Because I read it in here somewhere, and of course it's online, and that's why I hate online stuff. You can't go back and find anything. You can't circulate the market. Or at least I don't know how to. But with this whole state program, what's the value of the whole state program to put together this HHAP block grant?
Can you clarify your question?
Wasn't it like 620 million or something?
Yes.
And we're applying for $50,000 of this 620 million?
Lassen County was allocated that amount based on our plan time numbers for 2019.
That's what we were allocated.
Correct. So we were allocated an amount and had to submit an application that met the requirements to receive it.
So the vast majority of this money, I guess, is just going to go straight to San Francisco so they can buy more things to put in the street.
It's going to, yeah, to the county based on their plan time numbers and to the COC.
And point of reference here, I believe San Francisco is putting the homeless in hotels at this point.
My bad.
Do you have any more questions?
That was it. I mean, is this going to free up other funds with this year, or is it just going to supplement or augment?
It's not replacing any other funds. That was one of the requirements.
It's not replacing it. This is just going to be.
It's additional funding to house people who are having housing related issues.
And so what happens in the year 2024 when this money's gone and we still have the need for this to happen? Is that going to fall back to be a general fund expense?
No. So the hope is that we will house these families, we will provide case management, and at the end of 2023, when the funding's out, they'll be self-sufficient, whether that's they're on Social Security, they're employed, whatever the case may be. The hope is we will not need that funding for those households that we assisted.
Because despite the humor that we just had, this isn't buying temporary shelters, this is putting people into, helping landlords put people into low-income housing.
Permanent housing.
Yeah.
And is this because of the anticipation of the problems that it's going to be creating, like there's COVID-19, everybody shut down and not being able to afford their rent now, or just to help
No.
with that, or is this?
No, this was something, it was part of, I believe, AB 101 that was approved in July of last year.
And as I understand it, one of the difficulties with rehousing folks is that to convince landlords to take folks that, because of their recent bouts with homelessness, might not have the same respect for housing or knowledge that you or I might apply to our own houses. And so the idea behind it, if I'm not wrong here, is that those landlords are reluctant to take on formerly homeless individuals because of the damage which might occur to their housing. And so,
Correct, and sometimes people are homeless because of an eviction or a crime they committed, and so those landlords are incentives are to help incentivize landlords to possibly rent to someone they've never rented before.
Motion to approve.
Gallagher moves,
Second?
Hammond seconds. Public comment? Very well. Call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. I believe we will now, we're going to leave G8 and what's that other one we got to remember? G11. We'll leave them aside and go to our time certain.
He skipped his turn again.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Madam Clerk.
He just skipped his turn.
I'm sorry.
Oh, really?
No, I'll bring you back, but I was going to our time, we had a time certain first.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm sorry, I promise you we'll bring you up though. So we're looking for the title three funds is what we're on, C1. And then I promise, Jen, I'll bring you back, I promise.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we had some discussion a couple meetings ago about Title III funds, and the direction was to bring back this item. Couple of recommended actions. One, to receive public comment on allocation of Title III funding and approve and allocate Title III funds in the amount of $25,500 as an advance to the Lassen County Fire Safety Council as they requested to implement firewise community programs and development of community wildfire protection plans. Also to authorize myself to sign the agreement in that amount.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Please.
Thank you. Just as a matter of public notice, we noticed this public hearing for 10 a.m. today at 707 Nevada Street. And that was prior to us convening special meetings here to deal with COVID issues. And so you don't get to unwind that notice necessarily. Notice remained for 707 Nevada. But for 10 minutes preceding 10 a.m. this morning, all the way through 10 a.m. this morning, we've had someone posted at 707 Nevada board chambers to receive and redirect anyone who may have presented themselves to be heard on this issue to come down here. A short drive time, yet an inconvenience nevertheless, but no one presented themselves, and I wanted to make that clear for the record so that we could proceed and we could be satisfied that appropriate public notice was permanently established.
Was that public notice placed in a paper of record?
I'm not certain. I'm not certain.
Yes.
You got it, though.
Yes.
Oh, okay. In the future though, how are we going to notice public notice? I mean, I know that's a different item, but
It is a different item, of course. There is some authority under the California Code of Civil Procedure related to public notices when the newspaper of general circulation no longer exists. I think it's 6042 of the California Code of Civil Procedure, and contemplates you go to the next nearest newspaper of general circulation, which I think in this case would be the Modoc Record.
So we couldn't use a Fines website like Susanville Stuff that reaches general circulation, that isn't encompassed in that.
While I might find them to be a well-read internet site, and certainly a place I spend my time, I don't think they fit the legislative definition.
That's unfortunate. I guess we'll have to bother our legislatures in the future about that.
I've signed on to that.
Thank you. Beyond that, do I have any questions about the expenditure of the Title III money? Oh, Tony.
Just,
Of course.
just for a technical matter, this is a public hearing, so you'll need to open,
Oh.
ask for public comment and close the hearing. Thank you.
Where was our attorney when all this was going on?
I was about to tell you.
Oh.
And he was coming up, so.
Mr. Albaugh promised to keep me on the straight and narrow for this meeting, and, well, it's a hard task. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing at 10:07. Does that sound reasonable? 10:08. For those wishing to speak in favor of Title III expenditure? Anybody? Those wishing to speak against? Those wishing to speak on the matter? Is it 10:09 yet?
I'm unaware of any legal requirement to wait a full and complete minute, sir.
Very well. I will close the public hearing at 10:08.
10:08.
Plus a few seconds. And bring it back to us for a motion.
I move that we allocate the Title III funds of $25,500 as an advance to the Lassen County Fire Safety Council and public, and authorize the CEO to execute the agreement between the county and the Fire Safety Council and set them out.
Second.
Hemphill moves, Gallagher seconds. Public, well, we've done the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Well, I think we can bring up G8 since we've got a little bit of time, and then you can stay up here for the time cert 10:15 that way. Just as I planned.
So Jen, the only reason I pulled this one was because I want to thank you for saving us some money. We have a lot of discussion about how the general fund, the revenues have been depleted, they continue to go down, and we try to do things to save money. And this is a perfect example of how our department heads are saving us money and doing some quality jobs at the same time. So that was just the comment I wanted to make when I saw this. We wanted to get bypassed, so thank you very much.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Do you have any general comments on the position?
She wants it.
I do. I think that the changes that we've made will be more beneficial to not just our department, but the criminal justice system. So I think it'll
Excellent. Thank you.
Motion, please.
Second.
Gallagher moves, Hemphill seconds. Public comment? Call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Well, that brings us to D1, which is a time cert at 10:15, but maybe we'll cheat a little bit. So, Bob, do we have, you want to take a 5-minute break? Yeah. We're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute recess. Thank you.
We're live.
There we go, I got the go. All right, we're back from recess. We're going to take a take up the time certain probation, health, and social services resolution for the National Foster Care Month.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, clerk, Jen Brennan, Information Department.
Jen Aguilera, Community Social Services.
And today we're here to present the proclamation for May, which is Foster Care Awareness Month. What we do every year in May is bring our proclamation because without our foster parents and our resource families, we really wouldn't have anywhere to put a lot of our children. And with the closing of our juvenile hall, one thing that we've definitely done is increase our placements with our resource families and into foster care, and it's been working really well. And we really want to take the time to thank and appreciate all of those people who go through the process to have foster parents, and I think they really do. And we also like to appreciate the youth who are in foster care because they face a lot of different challenges as well.
I really don't have too much to add. It's very difficult for a family to take in a child that is not theirs, that they didn't raise, that can come with many different issues in their lives, and having them take this child in as their own. I honestly cannot say enough about our families that are there for our children. You know, and something that I know that Jen and I have been wanting to work on is really starting to push the need for our resource families and for our foster families in Lassen County. In Child and Family Services, most of our children are placed out of county, and that's very difficult for our children. Not only are we removing them from a home and the comfort of their home, whether it is whether we agree with that comfort or not, we are removing those children, and then we're also removing them out of what they know, their friends, their families, their school, and putting them into different counties. And so it's really important that we embrace our children and that we are able to be here for our children. So that's something we're going to be working on over the next hopefully year, is trying to really market the need for our resource families locally and embracing the children, because within the last month, our calls for child abuse and neglect have increased significantly. And so we have been doing quite a few more detainments over this time, and so we are in need of foster parents during this time. So, and thank you, Mr. Alba, for being a foster parent yourself.
Comments, questions? Mr. Alba?
You know, there is a huge need out there. I mean, you see there's 80,000 kids right here in the state of California right now today. All these kids are good kids. They're just unfortunate enough to not have good parents that want to take care of them. And there's a lot of people out there. I mean, this is Long Bush is another foster parent. These kids are precious, and you bring them into your home, and the love that they give you and you give them, I mean, it's reciprocated, and it's just it's a total win-win. I would encourage everybody not to be stigmatized by some of this stuff out there. All these kids, all they want is a home, someplace to hang their hat, a place where they can have to do something alone. And if you're able to do that, I would encourage people to do that stuff up, because there's a lot of people. I have some friends up in Oregon. There were so many kids in the system that didn't have places for them. The social worker was actually having to rent hotels where they could stay in a hotel with the kids.
We've done that on multiple occasions.
Yeah, it's sad. So anyway, I know this is a good way to try to bring awareness to it. I don't know what the answer is, but and this whole COVID thing, like you say, it's just making it worse. There's so much more, spousal abuse, child abuse going on because everybody's locked up at home. They can't go out, they can't do things, which further reiterates the importance of getting things opened back up so that people can get some space. Yeah.
Absolutely, and a lot of that translates into some of our probation youth as well. I know that there's typically a stigma with our probation youth because they've committed some kind of a crime, but some of the trauma that they've suffered is no different than some of the trauma from somebody who has been abused and neglected, because that's typically their way of acting out against some of that. So we really appreciate resource parents, and it sounds like we need to interview you to be able to get some different media attention out there. We've been working with Susanville Stuff, Jeremy Cuso Technologies, so that we can put together some different video snippets and be able to start playing those out in trainings that we do, in-person events that we go to be able to help us with some of our recruitment efforts. So we get help from
Give me the wife's number.
Any other comments?
I would move to adopt this resolution as B1.
Alban moves, Hammond seconds. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think now is a good time to move to G11. Mr. Egan?
Mr. Chairman, last week the board asked that we draft a resolution regarding the COVID issue, and the way I interpreted it, at least as a statement regarding the restrictions, orders, et cetera, that state officials have imposed on Lassen County that don't seem to meet the need here, and that the board would like to see change. So we've taken credit Tony, with most of this work, and you can blame me if you don't like it. We drafted a resolution you have in front of you. Frankly, I don't think it'll have much effect other than making a public statement about the board's feelings about the matter. But if that's the goal, then there you have it.
Well, that's a way to kick off the discussion. Mr. Hansel, did you want to start the discussion, or would you like to end the discussion?
I'll start it off. I think it's a little weak in what our intent was. I think, it needs to be pointed out that we've done everything. And to say that, we are afraid and, we fear the possibility of losing eligibility for disaster funding. I don't think we should acknowledge him on that. That's like condoning his behavior. And I think people are tired of what the governor's doing, everybody is. And to send something in there that says, well, we know what you're doing, so it's okay. I don't like it.
So you'd like to strike that portion out?
Yes.
I'm all ears.
And point out to them that, we have a constitution in this country. And, I found it, like I'm over here. Says neither legislative nor executive or judicial officer may disregard the provisions of the Constitution in case of emergency. I think that needs pointed out to the governor. He has totally disregarded the Constitution. It's ruling the United States Supreme Court shortly after the Civil War in Ex parte Milligan 71 U.S. in 1866, and it still stands today. And it goes on about how we can, our constitutional rights are guaranteed to freely travel and freely worship and live peacefully if you don't have an state of emergency going on. This is the first time in history this has ever happened in this country, and it's wrong. And I think that we're being a little, like I said, this is pretty weak as far as I'm concerned, what we want to say, because that's not what our people feel.
I have no problem with pulling the wherefore or there are that you were talking about. However, much like the hair salons that we've seen on Facebook, because of the manner in which our system works, I don't see the need to point out to the governor the federal constitution. I think that in the courts, both the California State Court, where he's being challenged on the constitutionality of the act, or the federal, that's where that would be appropriate. I know that there were those amongst us that did those sorts of professions that are held the certification boards that were feeling rebellious, but again, what I know is that economically, that most of them have decided that the challenge that they put forth is not worthy of the economic damage that would be done. And so, like I say, I don't mind pulling the part that suggests that we are afraid, but I don't see the need to tweak the bear in this case. So, but that's just my feeling on that. So, do any other supervisors have a comment on the matter? Mr. Alba?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, the one thing the Lassen County is experiencing is a financial emergency. You know, not only at the county level, but at the personal business level, and just regular working man, it can't work. You know, I brought something because I've been working my cattle, getting turned out to grass and whatnot, and I was going through my vaccine refrigerator. I got this little bottle of vaccine, and you know what? It's a killed virus. You know what it says on there? Coronavirus. Coronavirus has been around for years, a long time. And guess what? It's here to stay. And it's morphed and it's changed. That's why they call it 19, because it's probably the 19th strain. There's going to be 20 coming in the future. There's going to be 21. Just like all other kind of bugs. They get used to something, just like the human beings or the animals or the plants. They adapt to survive. Virus is no different than anything else. It's going to adapt to survive. The reason why this was shut down, because it was a new virus, a new strain coming in, they didn't know how to handle it. So it was shut down. They wanted everybody to shut down and stay at home so they could triage as this was passing through everyone. That's why they brought in the ships, built the makeshift hospitals, etc. They didn't know how bad it was going to hit. Well, the main surges come through. We weren't hit as hard as what they had thought. Everybody's able to handle it and triage it. Okay? That part's over. It's time to open back up and get back to business. This has just turned into a big political statement and a big for game, and it's sad. You know, that's why it was originally closed, and we were given direction on what we need to do to reopen. I mean, we've done it, and they're not fulfilling their end of the deal. And we need to put some more pressure on them to get this done. I mean, this is killing us financially. I mean, we got all this money that's going to the big cities and the big counties, and nothing's coming back to us. But yet we're the ones stuck holding the bag, stretching our resources and everything else. And I think we need to make this, you know, put in there why it was originally closed for. And that we're beyond that point. And it needs to be opened back up. I mean, for whatever reason, human beings seem to have a very short historical knowledge of stuff, and they forget that, and they just get caught in the current situation. They don't go back and realize what started there initially. And I think that's what we need to focus on this year, is go back to the initial, why it was shut down initially. And we need to emphasize the financial emergency, not only to the county, but to the businesses and to the common working man. And also throw in there that we have limited resources. Look at the number of child abuse cases, how much they went up, how much the spousal abuse cases have went up. I mean, we need to focus on that. We need to get this, we need to get going again. And the state needs to quit dragging their feet. If we submit a plan, they say they're going to respond in 20 to 48 hours, well then respond. Don't wait for an extra day until the big cheese can put more kudos in his pocket to make that announcement himself on TV in front of everybody. I mean, just get it done and let's move on. Anyway, that's my opinion.
Mr. Gallagher?
I think we need to open up as quickly as possible. However, I think people are misinformed about whose decision this is. This decision is on the state health officer. That's the person that needs to make the decision that what we have in place is ready to go. And I keep hearing talk about the governor this and the governor that. It's not the governor. It's the state health officer. So if the legislature could limit the power of the state health officer, then that would be another thing that they could do to make this go more quickly. I'm sure that won't happen quickly to get that done, but I think in the future, that might be a good situation. And everybody keeps talking about our Constitution. And I wish people had studied the Constitution like I did when I was in school. That was the thing I did. I thought about walking in Mr. Burns' footsteps, but one of my professors said, "You know how many lawyers there are in the United States? I don't think you want to do that." So, Jeff said this hasn't happened in history. Yes, it has. During the smallpox outbreak, there was a person who said, "I'm not taking the vaccine." And so that went all the way to the Supreme Court. If you look at Jacobson versus Massachusetts, it still stands today. That if a state or a national health order is issued and the health of the people's health is more important than the laws that are behind it, it still stands today. That's what the Supreme Court said. That we're gonna hold up the state's right here as opposed to the individual right. So I've had a number of people keep telling me, "Oh yeah, the Constitution's being violated." Okay, go to court, sue them, and try to overturn Jacobson versus Massachusetts because it did go to the Supreme Court already. But I want this place open as well. We have 0 cases, 0. And I think our health department has done a great job in meeting the standard that the state wanted us to meet. I don't think we're the only county that's fed up with the state health officer. I think there's probably 19 or more that are fed up and want to get it open. So it's time that we do put pressure. And I think we ought to send this letter not to the governor. We ought to send it to the state health officer and tell him, look, you know, as much as you think you know what's going on, you don't know what's going on in every jurisdiction. And especially, I heard somebody say the other day that a statement that I thought was very accurate. Let's turn this around. Let's have no cases in LA and have the cases up here. Do you think LA would shut down? No, I don't think so. So I think we should try to send this not only to the governor, as we have it to the state health officer as well, and say, look at each individual county like the president is doing to each individual state, allowing them to take that responsibility. And if it comes back on us, then so be it. But let us be in charge of the jurisdictions that you know we were voted to run.
Mr. Hammond?
Well, I'd like to see in this be it further resolved that the Lassen County Board of Supervisors wants to open up today. And I want that sent to the health officer too. They need to know with the background, with the no cases and with the letter from the Banner Hospital, how can we not open? How can they hold us back?
We've met some criteria.
We've met their criteria. That needs to be explicitly explained to them.
And we met their criteria and that you want to open the county to, are we going to mention a stage or are we just going to, I mean, open is a relatively open word.
Open it for our plan.
For our local health officers.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
That needs to be in that, and that does need to be put to the state health officer.
And what about the modification that Supervisor Hempel mentioned?
That's
Either-
fine.
Either or?
I'm good with that.
Both, or, because remember, there's the removal of the one statement, and then there's the addition of the other.
The constitutional thing is kind of
But we remove the one, and then we add.
I don't like the idea that we're afraid we're going to get our funding pulled with this letter.
So
And that's the reason why we're putting
So
this
we'll remove
resolution.
that point, and then we add the point that we need to open per our roadmap to recovery today.
Yes. Expedite.
Mr. Alba?
I'm fine with that. So for clarification, we want to remove on the second page, the top, the result.
Yes.
Okay.
And
And
then
then
we
add
add,
the other. And I still think in there, that somewhere we need to put in there, why this was shut down, why we shut down initially. Was to manage and triage the initial cases, okay?
Which we've never got.
We've never gotten, and every county has been able to handle it. And
Could we add that?
We can add that in
It must be one of those
the
where,
whereas is up there.
Or you could.
like in the third one or something.
Or you could do it at the end. Do the chronology that said that's what we did.
Could I take maybe a stab? I think
Sure.
what you're thinking is that we have a whereas that says something like the initial stay-at-home order was issued to protect the capacity of the healthcare system and that goal has been achieved.
Yep.
Something like that.
With no confirmed cases.
Yeah, and of course, that's in the resolution.
Right, I know.
so,
I'd like to double that though, and make sure, reinforce it.
We can double zero, but I think that's still zero.
0-0.
well, if we've agreed on that, what I'm going to do is throw it to public comment here, and then bring it back, unless, I mean, I don't want to cut up short, so if there's more that you want to add or discuss.
I got one other thing, in the very last, be it further resolved, remain unanswered, and they need to be answered, because today is May 12th, we sent our first one on April 29th. And how many days are in April, Bob?
30 days, I remember all the rest I can't.
So anyway, it's been a long time that they haven't answered, and they haven't sent anything back.
Right.
And they said 24 to 48 hours, according to Barbara. What's the consequence for their inaction?
Well, maybe you should put at the end of that, which is unacceptable.
Yeah.
There's a couple different things there. So there's 2 plans. About 14 days or so ago, the county submitted a plan to the state health officer asking for relief from the state order to allow the implementation of the local plan. That request has been summarily ignored. We have received nothing regarding that. A week ago, I sent a follow-up letter requesting a response. There hasn't been any response. That's separate from the variance process that we've been engaged in for the last about a week. And that's when the state indicated they would get back to Barbara in 24 to 48 hours. And they haven't done so, but 2 separate things.
And I believe that roadmap to recovery is our best document in terms of supported, because it has both the input of the local hospital, the county medical officer. And so I think that is our best document and best argument going forward. Does that answer or clear that up?
Yes, no.
Actually, we do have to put, I can put it back to public comment here, but do we have a working document there that we can vote on for a resolution?
What I have now is a deletion of the third to last, be it further resolved, and an addition that describes the purpose of the initial statement.
Public comment. Does anybody wish to speak? Sheriff Browder.
Good morning. So I appreciate Aaron's description of why this all started. And right away, obviously the county, we put a team together and worked hard to develop plans to try to, mitigate outbreak if we experience one, investigate and do all those things. And Barbara and her staff and everyone came together, Richard, Tony, and really put together a good comprehensive plan. And we spent, weeks doing all that work. So all that stuff still is in place. We still have all those written plans. We haven't had any positive cases to this point. And, one thing I think, and Supervisor Gallagher brought up the point, is it really is the health officer's order that's driving this. And on a typical public health issue, the authority is local, between the Board of Supervisors and our local health official, our local health officer. And what's happened by the state issuing these orders, the state health officer issuing these orders, is they've retained that authority and therefore prohibited us from basically taking the local action. So what I think you should ask for is really at this point, the state needs to defer to the local authority who would normally operate under these kind of circumstances. Because there is a lot of diversity across the state, and I've been on a lot of calls like Barbara has, and each county is looking at this different. There are a lot of counties that are a lot more strict than the state health officer's orders based on their circumstances. You know, but us in our rural areas, we don't have any positives right now. We have the plans in place, and we can always revert and place restrictions if we need to based on, you know, guidance from our local health officer. The hard part, though, is some of those counties who have real strict guidelines have been asking the state to keep their orders in place to help give them cover, too, which is wrong. You know, I think that each county should be able to react appropriately based on the circumstances they're facing with this. So that's something I think you should ask for. At some point, they just need to defer. Defer the local health officer. So those counties that have, you know, higher number of cases, whatever else, they can do what is appropriate for their jurisdiction, but our local health officer and our board of supervisors can do what's appropriate for our local jurisdiction. I think that's the piece that's just being missed. But that's typically how these things occur.
So you're requesting it be it further resolved that sometime, and I'll leave to our wordsmiths, that the governor or the state medical officer allow the local control to be determined?
Yeah, that will lift their orders and place the authority with the local health officers and local public health agencies.
That's not bad verbiage right there, I don't think.
Which is what the governor said initially he was going to do.
Yeah. So do you think that you could work that in as a be it further resolved?
Sure, we can add another one.
What is
And
it?
does the other
So,
supervisors agree?
just to make sure I understand correctly, that whereas the Board of Supervisors requests that the state health officer lift orders or revise orders to allow for local determination of restrictions.
Yeah.
And let them go back to the local health officer.
Yeah, we sort of local authority. Typically, as a health officer, because I think you guys ratify on any local restrictions, but I'm not positive on better than you.
I'm not certain that's the case.
I think with regard to the declaration of health emergency, that's true, but not necessarily current.
As far as order, you're right. So, that's it.
Do I have any other public comment?
Thank you. I just wanted to hear your thoughts about taking the comment about the business owners and that they're frustrated and inconvenienced. I think we need to put something about the devastation that they're experiencing, make it a little more, because that's the truth. They're more than frustrated, they're like dying on the vine. So maybe we need to ramp that up a bit. And then one of the things that I've been using in my calls, but it seems to go on to deaf ears, is that what public health is all about is managing the determinants of public health. And what that means is not just a health issue, but it's also things in the economy that make a healthy, or the environment that make a healthy public, and that's having economic viability, housing, transportation, health, and and so we need to take it kind of to that level, that it's not just one thing that should take down a community. We need to look at all the different aspects of that. So I would just put in there something about the devastation that our businesses are experiencing.
Devastation is certainly a good word for it.
Still frustration.
Frustration and devastation. Do I have any other public comments at this moment?
If the board likes, perhaps we could table this item
until we finish the rest of the agenda and bring it back. And hopefully, during that time, we can scramble and get a draft for you to actually look at.
I think that's a reasonable direction at this point, so.
I suppose someone could make a motion to table this item until the end of the agenda. Or the chair could just do that.
I can just get direction. All right, I'll get direction. We'll go ahead and table this item until we move through the next couple items. All right, we will take up then item H1. Election management equipment purchase. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Peter, board members, staff. Okay, I'm joined this morning as a board clerk reporter, and I'm here to request that the board approve the agreements to replace our election management system and to give us a one-time approval to deviate from Lassen County's purchasing policy. We are out of time. We only have 3 companies to choose from. We've checked them all out. We've gone and visited them. They've come and brought their equipment to us. We've looked at them all. We've received quotes. And we feel that ES&S is the best system for our size county. And yeah.
So all the counties aren't using the same system?
No, they never have.
I would think that would be unfair.
One size doesn't fit all. LA, for example, has a homegrown system that they did on their own, and the state approved it, and it's using parts of other systems. But as far as larger counties, Dominion seemed to fit better for them. They're too big for us. So ES&S is a company we use now, and we have for 20 years. Well, not the system we've used for 20 years. And I asked for permission to go ahead and use that system through November. The Secretary of State said I could use it through March, but now they're saying I have to change.
See, so the state will accept one size doesn't fit all when it comes to elections, but not now in public health.
Correct.
Isn't that something you put in the resolution too?
Getting a bit wordy as it is, so. Do I have any other questions or comments at this time? Mr. Alba?
I noticed in here that you had some price quotes from this ES&S, but they seem kind of old. Are they still going to honor those same?
Yes, we just had it renewed, and in the agreement, it's got the price quote in there. The only difference is in the agreement, we have included the tax and the shipping that they didn't quote in the beginning, because we want to make sure everything's covered.
Okay. And then, I know it's kind of related, but it's kind of not, is, you got your extension because of all the elections we had to do last year.
That and the fact that we had to move my office from the old courthouse.
The going, I thought it had the same turnout.
And that was, technically, it would have been impossible for us to have 2 systems in our new location at once.
And so, but going back to my original deal is, with the election we had last year, was we able to get any reimbursement back from the state for having all those special elections, or we just have to?
We haven't heard yet. There are still some test planes out there, and I have not been able to bill locally. Mr. Egan asked me to bring that up. For quite some time, we've been short-staffed, and it's like we're putting up fires. The plan was for me to be able to sit down and bill last year because it was our off year. And we were unable to do that because we had 5 elections thrown at us at once. And so doing that, we could not spread out. We also are short-staffed. We're short 1 person right now, and I've got another person leaving at the end of the week. So I've got 4 departments to run with only 6 people, but there's only 3 to 4 on hand at one time.
Well, I guess my question, have you submitted your bill for what it costs to run those extra 5 elections to the state so we can get reimbursed for that? Have you done that?
No, I have not, because we've been busy doing those elections.
Okay, I realize
It
you
takes
got
all
all
my
the
time.
special district stuff that's a separate thing. I realize that needs to be sent out too, but I was just, you said there's test billing out there.
Other counties have submitted it.
And we need to get ours in that pot too.
Yes,
so
we
we're
do.
not Behind the,
And I plan on doing that, but right now, I have to focus on putting the new system in and set up the November election. So, and I've got 2 people short staff, so I have to get that stuff together, but I don't have the time to do it. Right now, I'm working weekends, I'm working nights, I am a working department head, I'm not just sitting by and letting my staff do it. We're all working as hard as we can to get done what we have to do.
if you ask for help from anybody else from another department or something to come in and help me get this bill sent to the state, because the way this is going, Julie, I mean, there's a lot of money going out there, no money's coming into the state, and we need to get our foot in the door now. Otherwise, you're gonna say, well, you didn't ask for it at the time, I guess you don't need it.
Well, they're saying they're not gonna pay it, period, and we're saying we want you to.
And we need to, because it's very expensive, and so we need to get that bill put together. If you need some help, I mean, I would, you know, I would think, you know, you would ask for some help, whether it's from the auditor or the administrator.
The auditor
or
is
somebody.
short-staffed and behind, and
Ask for a supervisor to come in and help you out. I don't know, I'll donate part of my time, but we need to get this done. We need to get this done. So that was my unrelated question. As far as this goes, what's going to be our timeframe on this for the longevity, life of this, these machines? As long as the state.
the last one we had for 20 years,
Okay.
so it just depends on the Secretary of State. They're the ones who certify, decertify. We, when we first got the system, they had touch screens to go with it, and we didn't get those. Then all the counties came in, and like Riverside County had all touch screens. Secretary of State at that time, Deborah Bowen, came in and decertified all of those. So everybody had to change systems that had touch screens. We had paper backup. We didn't have to do that at that time. So this is another paper backup system. I feel confident that it'll have longevity.
Okay. And then what's going to be our annual software update?
That's in the contract.
What is it going to be here before? Sorry.
I don't know off the top of my head. 9,000 was as part of the system for a high-speed ballot counting for absentee ballots.
The hardware is it 18,000?
Okay, page 6, that's the annual.
Yeah. And then on page 8, you have another 52,000.
Which, where?
On page 8. Is that just initial or is that going to be ongoing?
I'm not sure what you're saying.
The software license, maintenance, and support fees for the initial term is 52,000. Is that going to be ongoing, or is that just a one-time deal?
The initial term would mean first period.
First period.
So that's 3 years. 3 years. So then after 3 years, what's it gonna cost us?
Probably not all over.
We don't have a choice. We have to choose one of the 3 systems. And the other ones were a lot more as far as cost.
I don't care whether we have a choice or not, I just ask what's it gonna cost after 3 years for software updates? Are we gonna be putting out $15,000 a year, like, or 17, or?
Can
agreement, it gives us a fixed price for a fixed term.
Right.
And in terms of being able to know what it's going to cost after that, it's anybody's guess. I mean, if history is any guide, they go up. Do they go up? It always seems like it's a little bit of a, the vendor wants to keep the business. And so, but they also want to cover some of their increases in costs as well. So it always seems like it goes up, but it doesn't go up so much that it can't be sold again. I'm not saying that's right or desirable. I'm just saying that's been my experience, is you see the maintenance fees go up, but not in so much of a percentage that it's just clear, no, we can't accept this.
Often it depends on how many users are on the system too.
No question.
I mean, you take a look at the system that we were using at Public Health, in terms of that, when we ended up being the only system, or the only users of that system, the cost for that went skyrocketing.
There's no question the elections official was right. We're told that we can't continue to use the system that we had. We already asked for an extension, got it, and then they said no more and wagged their finger. And then they, we try and engage in a competitive process to, spend taxpayer dollars in as efficient a manner as possible, which we think we're obligated to do, we think we should do. And then they say, but there's only 3 entities that are approved, so what's that do for competition? Not much, other than take it away entirely. And so those outfits, and the clerk's office did their due diligence in trying to select the outfit that they can work with the best for what Lassen's needs are, and based on my conversations with them.
So Joey, after we get the system, which I think we can vote for, how long will it take to implement?
We have a timeline in there. We have to have it in and running before November, but we are actually starting the election now. I think it's the last page of the packet.
Incidentally, and I'm sorry, I was looking at something else, but I don't know if she mentioned this or not, but the funding for this is HAVA money, correct?
Right.
Which is essentially state-provided
And federal.
funding. Pardon me?
State and federal.
State and federal funding, which is not, say, county general funding. That doesn't mean we might not be in the hook or on the hook in the future for maintenance type fees. We don't know. The other thing it seems to suggest is that every time you get a new Secretary of State, it seems like you get a new requirement. They want to have on their little resume, sorry, this is kind of dark, but they want to have their little, I got this accomplished when I was Secretary of State, so when they run for whatever their next perceived step is up the ladder, they can say, I did these things. This is hideous. And there's not much of a choice in it. She's right, there's not much of a choice in it.
Mr. Gallagher?
So the problem with not going out to bid is you don't get apples to apples, and I can see that some of these are not apples to apples, but you may have selected the least expensive. If we're talking about maintenance, if you look on Hart's Intercivil or whatever it is, there's an annual license fee and support fee of $18,500. Even though their workstation software warranty is for 5 years, they also charge a 1-year, or they have a 1-year warranty for the Central Ballot scanner, where the scanner on the other one is a 3-year warranty. So that's the problem when you don't go to bid, is you don't get apples to apples.
But the problem too is he did not like that system. It was not user-friendly.
Yeah, so anyway, I was just pointing out that it looks like it's probably a lot of money, but maybe not compared to what is being done with budget.
Mr. Alba?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but with this HAVA, the Help America Vote, or whatever the heck it is, acronym, you got 2 different funding sources to pay for this, and it should all be paid for under this Harbor thing with the ES contract, correct?
Yes. One of the funding sources wants us to pay 1/3 of the price. I checked with the state, and the other funding from the federal that I have that we have not spent, we can use that for the matching fund so that the county does not have to come up with anything.
Any other questions? Looking for motion.
Chairman, I would authorize the register of voters permission to deviate from the county purchasing policy for one-time purchase of new vote tabulation systems and authorize and approve the CEO to sign the system purchase order for the elections management EMS for the amount of the $9,727.89. Approve the CEO to sign the sales order agreement for the voting system tabulation and accessibility equipment amount of $233,352.63 with election systems and software LLC.
Mr. Alban moves.
Second.
Mr. Hammond seconds. Public discussion? Hearing none, we will move to call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Go to school.
All right, that brings us to H2, the historic courthouse renovation demolition phase.
Morning, Board Chairman, Board members. Before you is an item from the Public Works Department in conjunction with admin for the renovation project. This is going to be phase 1 of the phase 3 project. Get going. This is going to include initial demolition inside and abatement of hazardous materials, including asbestos in there. Just let us open up the interior shell and look at the walls that need to be retrofit on for the siding of the phase 2 portion of this project. Went out to bid at the very end of March. Received a total interest from 7 different contractors. We ended up receiving 3 bids. We had the opening on April 30th. You can see there's 3 bids. There's a little bit of spread from the low one to the next 2 higher ones. But when you start breaking it down item by item, the low bidder basically get all low, each item low, whereas if you go to the next 2 highest bidders, one would be close to the low bidder and one would be so the low bidder just sharpened the pencil a bit for the job on that work. All the bids are responsive as far as they met the requirements of the bid package. The low bidder is also appears to be a responsible bidder. We checked all their licensing and certifications required to have this project. Issues on that with them, and possibly with the stuff that's going on, we want to get into the COVID-19 issue and hash that out. But that may have been in our favor that folks are looking for work and they're trying to dial in whatever they can. So we have the voters that are following up. The good thing is that nothing against our local contractors here, the 2 more ones there are specialty demolition contractors that basically all they do is let us feel more comfortable about the project and they've done this stuff before. Is there any questions on this item?
Does this fall into the budget when you have budget for this segment?
Yes, it does. And as we mentioned before, it's state funded grant. Mr. Shaw has done a recent draw, so we have some advance funds to fund this, to give us, so we're not having to do a reimbursement. That is just they fund us some money on this portion of it to keep them rolling and stuff. So cash flow.
My My other question is being how this guy's so far out of town, can you do some little background work to see what other work they've done and how it's, if they've done a good sufficient job?
Yeah, what I basically did is check the contract state licensing board, I looked them up, Fresno County, actually Googled up their location and, they know what they are and everything. Looked at a couple of the other projects they got going on in the way. I think they have something going on in Monroe County right now as well. Try to do kind of Google search type stuff, see if you get any comments on that or anything like that. So no red flags there. That portion. So we talked to them, we told them our time frame when we want to start, which is June 1, and everything falls into place with the different noticing timelines we have starting from this point forward. And they didn't have any objection, like, oh my gosh, that was way low, this is going to be a problem or anything like that. It was just, yeah, we're ready to go. So one thing I'd like to point out, we do have a little bit more than we typically probably put in for a standard project for change orders. Being this is a demolition project, you're opening up, sometimes a can of worms. I'm hoping it's not, but sometimes you open something up and you might be something we're not expecting to see there, especially if the building on age. But so we did put a little bit more in there just to think us how we can deal with that and go forward. We also feel the specs and the plans are very thorough. So if there's something that the contractor's trying to get us to change orders, get some extra money out of us. I think we have some real thorough plans that we can really say, no, that's what it says you're supposed to do. You really should go on do it. So.
Any other questions?
Local restaurants and hotels out there. You're not down, we get all, move forward, get some restaurants open.
Is that a motion?
That's motion. Go word today.
Hemphill moves.
Second.
Alba seconds. Public comment? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Pete.
I don't see Mr. Shaw doing the work on the rewrite, so are we going to give him another 5 minutes in a recess?
I believe that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and call another 5-minute recess.
All right, Tony.
There you go.
Hey, we're live.
I got to bring this back into order. We'll take a moment to read over the resolution. Thank you, staff, for the work done on it. You're welcome.
The underlines.
Yeah, we're not going to do it.
I thought we were going to pull out the part about the fear of using eligibility for that.
Didn't I do that? I did pull it out.
It's gone, it's gone.
So I had the wrong.
It just feels like it's there.
It fears like it's there.
I apologize, I had the old one.
Yeah, we'll have the opening part. What Tom said.
Whereas we don't have any cases of COVID-19,
whatever.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I think we can add one part in.
Yeah.
Tony. We could be able, that it is the part, be it further resolved that the Board of Supervisors, County of Lassen, wish to open following our roadmap to recovery.
As there are no.
There are no confirmed.
2 zeros, it's a double zero.
We could add that. The chairman could sign that.
Yep.
All right. In that case, do I have any further discussion? Mr. Alban?
Is the heading of the resolution, to the state, California Governor Gavin Newsom and the state health officer. And then down at the very bottom of page 1, especially the devastating negative financial impact, the word financial, had on local small businesses, and I'd like to see and their employees added.
That's fine. You got more work, Tony.
He's good. Surprise. Big thing.
Is that the form of a motion then, Supervisor Alban?
Yes, along with the last word that we talked about prior to that.
Yes.
Second.
Supervisor Alban moves, Supervisor Gallagher seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, open.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So I have one question before we adjourn here. So what happens if we get sucked into the pipeline here where we just heard that Alvarado got approved? What do we have to take any action
For phase 2.
for phase 2?
So, okay, just to be clear, everyone's in phase 2 now. What our variance that we submitted last week is to modify phase 2.
Right.
And that's what I think we're just hearing, that some counties have been notified that they've been approved. We expect to be approved, hopefully within the next 24 hours or so, which would allow for certain additional businesses to open, restaurants under certain circumstances, and a couple others. But, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Do we as a board have to take any action?
No.
Is my question.
No, you took action by supporting the health officer's attestations, so there wouldn't, unless the state changes, I'll just put that caveat in there. But as the program is described now, you wouldn't be required to do any other action. But by the way, we have no guidance on what it will take to get into phase 3 yet.
So, this thing's changing all the time, what the state's requiring, what they're saying. There's no guarantee. We've had 2 special meetings on Friday at 1 o'clock. There's no guarantee that there won't be a need to call a third or fourth or whatever. I think what you're seeing is your staff is trying to be responsive, be on the front end, be prepared, and that has resulted, at least in the last 2 weeks, of calling a meeting on fairly short notice.
Yep.
Well, and I think that requires this board to be ready to meet those obligations and also to continue to lobby those officials that we can reach. For instance, I got a text from Secretary of CDCR, Ralph Diaz, that denotes a little bit of frustration having to deal with me and continuing. So, but at the same time, that's the sort of thing that we have to keep doing respectfully, but with fervor and with persistence.
Well, I don't think I have a problem supporting the staff, and, I mean, that's not a problem. I mean, my thing is, I just want to make sure that we're gonna,
Get it over as quick as we can, whatever it
We've
takes.
done everything we can at this point, and we are essentially waiting word from the state of California on our modified 2.
Supervisor Alba.
Yeah, one thing I would like to bring forward is the guy that lives so far this away. He has 24 hours notice to go to a special meeting in the middle of the day. By the time I drive here, drive home, and spend an hour at the meeting, a half a day is shot. So if we could change the time of that.
Yeah, we can rate that 1 o'clock thing's a killer.
Yeah.
The only problem is, he couldn't have done it anymore because we didn't know until maybe the last time.
Well, we knew longer in advance, but I figured I'd hold that and, you know.
That's not true. We can attempt 28 or 29 hours notice, and I don't mind a night meeting if that's necessary to give you more time.
Or
because I
early
agree.
morning or something.
Early morning.
And we could do it on April 31st.
Or since it's a special meeting, we can have it in Beaver.
Oh, there you go, there you go.
Mr. Egan, do you have any information for the Board of Supervisors?
Non-COVID related information, we're starting to work on budget.
Just all the department budget letters gone out requesting requests from departments, so that's going to be our next big hurdle to tackle. Scheduling some budget committee meetings here in the next few weeks.